Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Off Duty Rick, who is going to be a character in the 7th anniversary celebrations, as you can see via the balloons on the art on the left hand side. But first we'll look at the right hand side art. You can see Rick is in his stance. We know the shooting stance that Rick is kind of famous for. He's got his fist. He's angry. He's angry. He's also got a badge on, you know, his police badge. He's got the Kevlar. Visually, I think Rick looks really good. I like the jacket. You know, he's pretty basic, but it looks really cool. I like it. On the left-hand side, we see the art in a bit better detail. We can still see like things like the badge, the Kevlar, the pistol, but we also see this box on the table, and there's a 7 on it that is doing one of two things, right? It is talking about the 7th anniversary, but there seems to be like a weird nod towards 7, if anyone's ever seen 7 the movie. Like the ending, no spoilers, but the ending of 7 the movie has a box in it. Kind of like this, We see the balloons as well, Road to Survival, TWD. It is going to be a 7th anniversary, of course. We'll look at the details on his stats so we can see at level 1440, limit break 3 maxed out. He has got 19,333 attack, 27,066 defense, and 30,933 HP. So he is a very defensive character. Alert, of course, holding that pistol. He's considered a support character. He is, of course, a mythic, and he is going to be joining the Atlanta Allegiance again as a Gold Mythic character. So first off, we'll look at OD Rick's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Sin Against Sinner. It is a 66 AP cost rush. 2 enemies get minus 30% AP for 2 turns. Deal 500% damage to the target, 800% if they are the strong trait. So we'll look at the second half of this first. 500% damage plus, you know, an extra 300%, making it 800% total if they're strong trait. It's kind of nice. It's just going to be a reasonably hard hitting. But the first half is very interesting. 2 enemies get minus 30% AP for 2 turns. So this should mean that, let's say, on an attack character, there's 66 AP. 30% is around about 20 to 22 AP. Effectively, they'll lose 20 to 22 AP when it's cast on them. And then the next turn, they'll lose it again. We'll have to test this out, of course, but this is a brand new feature, I believe, where it's like continuous AP gain. I know we have things like slow, which just makes your rush more expensive in AP, basically. But this is a completely different dynamic which we have not seen before. Okay, so I figured the best way to show this was actually having Rick in a defense team. You can see the stance as well, how he looks on a team. I think he just looks really cool. We're going to defend here. And we're going to see if he targets William. Does he actually target William as a strong character? He did indeed, so he did the damage. And you can see how the AP gain like down works. You can see it actually shows you the flat amount, how much that percentage actually equates to. It's 16 for 55 AP characters, and it's 20 for 66 AP characters. This is actually interesting info here. Now, if I defend, will it be the beginning of my next turn that it puts it? Like, if I attacked with William now, I would have had my rush, and then it gets to the beginning of my next turn, and then it does the AP down. It comes in, yes, you can see that the AP down comes in now. So that's very interesting. It's the beginning of your next turn when it happens. So if you have your rush, you'll start your turn, lose AP. So it basically is really problematic if you don't have a command. Okay, so we'll look at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush. You can see at grade 2 it gets +1 to AP drain target, going from 1 target up to 2 targets, but that's not too hard. It's only grade 2. Grade 4 it gets +1 to AP drain duration. So initially it's just the turn that it's cast, but then it goes to 2 turns. Again, not too hard to come by. Then we move into the limit breaks. LB1, the AP cost is reduced from 75 down to 66. I'd say this is quite important to actually be able to get this rush off in a reasonable time frame. And at LB3, it will get plus 300% damage against strong enemies. I don't see this as that important because this character does seem like a more of a defense team character. But it is obviously a very nice bonus, especially as it seems to be focusing strong characters when he actually does this. I really like the idea of bringing in new effects, or at least effects that we already have, and just kind of manipulating them in a different way. AP drain over multiple turns is interesting. Don't forget this could potentially be cleanse, so if you have a character that has cleanse in their passives, cleanse on their weapon, or teammates that can cleanse, this can actually obviously be removed. So don't worry too much about it if you have the right setup. You have to combat this by either stopping Rick from rushing or having a command to kind of get your rush, up again. Because, like I said, it starts at the beginning of your next turn, and if you have your rush, you're going to lose your rush. I do like that it shows the amount of AP you're going to lose, but as we know with AP, it doesn't matter if you lose 1 or 20. That's still an entire turn to get that AP back. So overall, quite a nice rush in terms of just controlling a little bit on defense teams. Let's check out the rest of his kit. And the first thing we're going to check out is the signature move. It's called What's in the Box. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Remove focus from 5 enemies. This is 100% guaranteed. This character gets 50% bonus HP, deal 300% damage to a single enemy, 500% if they are of the damage roll. So a lot going on this signature move. It is turn 1, so it'll go off very quickly. The heavy focus removal is pretty bad, honestly, in terms of certain characters that have nice focus additions. But don't forget, a lot of these characters have to reapply at the beginning of their own turn, so it doesn't really counter that in any way. It does counter the leaders. There are a bunch of leaders that have focus on leader skills. Him getting 50% bonus HP is nice. His base HP is one of his higher stats, so it should equate to quite a lot of bonus HP. However, as he's alert, he could potentially be in the same team as someone like Nor, so he wouldn't necessarily get that big a bonus from this, no pun intended, but he wouldn't necessarily get that much bonus HP from this because he could potentially already be getting tons from Nor. But it's nice regardless, just in case like Nor gets normalized or Nor gets heal reduction, at least Rick will definitely get some bonus HP from this. The damage is interesting. We're going to have some damage on the rush, some damage on the signature move. His damage stat is obviously his lowest, but he's targeting the weaker characters here. Damage roll characters. That does mean potentially, one-shotting a character in the right scenario. 500% isn't that high, but against someone, let's say, like Kenny, who doesn't even have, like, 20,000 HP, if he doesn't have any bonus HP, he's going to take a lot of damage there, and this is first turn, like I say. Okay, so we're going to attack the same defense team again, with Rick just sitting here on defense. This time I'm using a team where everyone's got focus because of the Negan lead. He is only, grade 1, but he gets focus very early. I'm just going to hit defend. You're going to see the signature move come in. It's going to do some damage, and you can see focus gets removed from all of my team. Now, I do have characters that will reapply focus. There is some counters to this. The likes of the Outlanders, and sometimes NWO can also get it because of Titan. So there are some ways to counter this, but you can see on his kit, he's got 50% bonus HP. This is very nice indeed. It doesn't look like he focuses damage dealers because I do have Negan as a damage dealer and I do have Kenny as a damage dealer. So damage roll characters will get the bonus damage if they actually get hit, but it seems to be kind of RNG if they're the ones that do get attacked. Going straight into the upgrades for the signature move, you can see at grade 3 it gets an upgrade where it deals 300% damage to a single enemy, 500% if they are the damage roll. This is a weird way to just introduce that in the first couple of grades. It could have just been on there from the start. This could have been something else, obviously, but that's the way it is. At grade 5, you are going to get -1 to starting cooldown. This seems pretty important if you want to, try and get that bonus HP up as quickly as possible. Survivability is nice, and grade 5 shouldn't be too crazy. Limit break 2, however, might be a little bit different. +2 to remove focus targets. So initially, it is only going to remove focus from 3 enemies. I don't actually see the remove focus as that big a deal anymore. Once, characters came in where they apply it at the beginning of their own turn, that heavily countered characters like Uncle Sam and stuff like that. Whereas, those leaders like Negan were in a lot of trouble. But these new characters, because they reapply at the beginning of their own turn, it kind of counters this. So there's no way this is that big an issue for me. It's more about the bonus HP and who that actual attack targets. If it targets the wrong character and I don't have the right support character in the team, like I say, a damage dealer will get absolutely destroyed by that, especially if they're taking damage from other characters on the defense team as well. So overall, the signature move is pretty decent. I think it's probably better than Rush in terms of what it's bringing to the table. Survivability, a bit of damage. Focus if people are still using the focus characters when it applies at the beginning of the fight rather than the turn, and that is going to counter that potential issue there. So far on the Rush and the signature move, I'm kind of seeing like a decent defense team character. I'm going to want to see some significant power boosts within the passives to really, see a good level defense team character here. And checking out those passives, these are Off Duty Rick's mythic abilities. He has, of course, got Cunning, because he is a support character where he's 30% less likely to trigger enemy weapon effects. This is when he's being attacked or when he's attacking. So this is actually kind of nice. So like double attack weapons, if you attack him, may not even go off. You know, it's as simple as that. The next one is called Crime Scene. At the start of each wave, all medic teammates get 50% normalized resistance for 2 turns. This is powerful. Now, there aren't too many alert characters that are medics at the moment. I think it's pretty much just Nor. But this is really good for Nor because one of the ways to combat Nor is to actually give her the normalize so that there's not crazy amounts of bonus HP on a defense team. Now, you can steal this buff away, but this is very powerful indeed. If we go down to the next one, it's called Become Wrath. When this character gets taunted, 100% chance this character gets focused for 3 turns. This does mean that this character is effectively untauntable to a certain extent, unless you were to really cheese it where you taunt the character, then you steal away the focus. That would be the only way you could deal with it, and that's just problematic. It's just extra steps that you have to deal with something that is normally quite basic. So quite nice in that way. Next up we have Spotted. At the start of each wave, 60% chance 2 damage roll enemies get attack up block for 2 turns. What's powerful about this is it can counter characters like Brutus, who can get huge amounts of attack up from the Scotsman on turn 2. 200% attack boost is massive, and it will block that on turn 2, but on turn 3 and onwards, this would have dissipated, and then you can start getting those attack buffs. Turn 1, strong attacks weapons as well would be countered, so yeah, this is actually pretty nice. It is going to just give it to the damage roll characters, however, but generally speaking, they're the ones who take most advantage of attack up buffs. Okay, so I'm going to start the fight, and you can see I've got a couple of extra teammates for Rick here, and they're both medics, so they're both getting that 50% normalized resistance. It's very nice for Nor because this is an addition, but for Mr. Lu, I don't think it's going to make any difference because his base specialist skill is resilient, and he already has 50% resistance to normalize, and it will not stack, so it's not that big a deal for him. But for Nor, very nice. If you are going to have a control character on an attack team that can normalize, this would obviously reduce this down to 10%. Right now, that doesn't exist. Don't forget, you can cleanse it, you can steal it away. This is something to deal with. But the more buffs someone has on them, if they've got other buffs as well, then it's going to be like a random 2 buffs that will steal away. So if they've got 3 or 4, then yeah, it's problematic. Now, I have got attack down block on my 2 damage dealers. Specifically, Brutus, this is a problem. What we'll do is we'll do the Scotsman's signature move, as you can see. And the next turn, Brutus should get 200% attack, but it's not going to happen. I'm also going to taunt Rick here. He is stunned, but I'm going to taunt him. And it should guarantee he gets focus here. He did get focus. It should have gone down to 2 turns. Should it have gone down to 2 turns? There we go. 2-turn focus, as you can see. So he would be able to attack through this if he wasn't already stunned. Now, in this situation, I would have a massive attack buff on Brutus, but it is no more. It is no more, and that is because of that, attack up block that we received from Rick. So we'll look at the passive upgrades here, and you can see at grade 1, he gets the first half of Crime Scene, making it 30% normalized resistance for 2 turns. At grade 2, he gets the first half of Cunning. At grade 3, he gets the second half of Crime Scene, so makes it 50% normalized resistance for those medics. At grade 4, he's going to get the first half of Become Wrath, where it's 50% chance this character gets focused for 3 turns when he gets taunted. At grade 5, he gets the first half of Spotted, where it's 20% chance 2 damage roll characters get attack up block for 2 turns. Obviously, when it gets into limit breaks, he's going to get those last 2 go up a little bit. Cunning 2 comes in at limit break 1. Wrath 2 or Become Wrath 2 comes in at limit break 2, making it 100% chance that Rick will get focus for 3 turns when he's taunted. Very nice. I think the longest taunt in the game is 3 turns, so it completely counters that. And then Spotted 2 comes in at LB3, and it's another 40% chance that 2 damage roll enemies get attack up block for 2 turns, making it 60% total. That passive right there is very nice. It is going to effectively stop the massive nuke potential of someone like Brutus, unless Brutus has a teammate cleanse it, because there's no way Brutus can cleanse it himself. But there are certain characters out there that can cleanse it themselves. For instance, like let's say Christmas Shiva has a self cleanse at the beginning of her own turn, so she could potentially remove it, but only from herself. So someone else needs to come in to support these damage roll characters, otherwise they're not getting the buffs. And with these very defensive teams out there, especially with the bonus HP, they need as many attack buffs as possible. So overall, the passives are pretty decent for Rick. I'd say this is definitely where a lot of his power is. I'd say pretty much all of them are pretty good in terms of countering certain things out there. I'd say all of them are pretty good, and they're countering certain meta things out there right now. And attack buffs are very powerful, always have been. So Rick's going to be a problem. You know, those damage roll characters specifically not getting attack up is a big issue for sure. So overall, I do like the passives. I think they definitely make Rick a force to be reckoned with. Now, Rick does not have a specialist skill. He has got a leader skill, however, and this is where it's going to cement him as a defense team character if he was not already cemented there. And we bring it up, and it is all teammates get 40% HP, all alert and tough teammates get 50% critical hit resistance. This makes him a semi-rainbow lead. The first half is going to be competing with Pamela, and he is an alert character, so you can decide which one you want to use with basically strong characters if you so wish, or you could make it a full alert and tough defense team and get very nice bonuses here. This second half will not stack with the tank buff, but it will override it. I think the tank buff is 40%, so it should make it so tanks now have 50%, but it will have every character have 50%. This is really good because a lot of characters out there are multi-hit characters, and they rely on hitting crits to hit the big damage. And if you make crits just not even possible, it's going to drastically make those teams like less effective. This also does counter the Telltale attack team, because Telltale has inbuilt in their kits 100% crit chance, but now they're coming up against a 50% chance to resist it on every single character that's tough or alert behind a Rick. Very nice indeed. So if we were to put together a team like this, we'd now have Nor, Rick himself, and Vance getting the critical hit resistance. Let's see if we can actually get it to proc. We'll just do some basic attacks. Will we see a resist? There we go. The resist came in. You saw it above Negan's head. The little resist marker. I'll try and do it like a little replay so you can see it. Basically, any character in the team now has a chance to, you know, resist crits, which is very powerful indeed. Now, it doesn't work like a buff, and it's kind of, you know, surprising considering they did just change a lot of leader skill damage reduction, you know, bleed and burn reduction into buffs so they could steal them away, and then they re-implement another leader skill that effectively does a reduction, but they don't introduce it as a buff. So I don't know, maybe in the future it gets reintroduced as a buff. We'll have to wait and see, but as it stands, it's going to be underlying, and it should work even when Rick is taken out. So, you know, this is going to be lasting until the end of the fight. You're going to have to identify within your own roster the characters that deal damage on their rush rather than do multiple attacks on their rush, just to get the best out of you know, the attack team characters that you can use against Rick teams. But at least you know which teams are going to have it, because Rick has to be the leader for this buff to take place. So I like the leader skill. I like the fact that it's rainbow lead if you wish, but also you can get the bonuses if you use alert and tough teammates. And don't forget, on war teams, you can always see what, you know, characters people are using, so you're not going to get surprised in any way. Now, the last special thing that Rick brings to the table is his pistol, and it has got quite a high rating, 650. It has got 35% HP, 35% defense, elusive impair when being attacked, a better chance to impair the enemy, and get elusive for 3 turns. And in the last slot, it has improved attack damage reduction, reduced basic attack damage done to this character by 30%. So the first 2 stats are nice. If he's a defense team character, HP and defense, you'll be able to get one up to 40%, one up to 45%, or you could just get one of them up to 50%. It's completely up to you how you want to do this. Elusive impair is off trait. You would normally see this on tough characters. It is going to be nice in a team that has got mainly alert characters in it, because people would be gearing their team against like stun, and the impair could be like ultra effective in that situation. So Rick could be an issue for sure if you attack him. And then lastly, there's the improved damage reduction. I think this is similar, or if not exactly the same as the one on Sebastian, and this is going to further reduce incoming damage on multi-hit rushes, basic attacks, and so on and so forth. And the fact that you can like reduce crit damage just from not hitting a crit, and then flat reduction on the actual hit itself. Rick seems to be pretty tanky against those multi-hit characters for sure. Now you might think, well, if I've got this in the 4th slot, I won't be able to have the 50% reduction to critical hits. This does obviously reduce the amount of damage he's going to take from a crit because it's a flat reduction. It's going to happen every single time as well. It's guaranteed to reduce incoming attack damage. And he still has a chance to just completely resist critical hits because of his leader skill. So all in all, it should be a better damage reduction. So this was Gold Mythic Rick, who is going to be the 7th anniversary character reward. Seemingly, it looks pretty decent. Visually, I like it. Looks like he's going to actually be a pretty good leader. A lot of the times I've talked about leaders, especially defense team ones, where they've mainly been a leader skill, but not much else. Whereas Rick's passives are actually pretty good. They're countering a couple of things that are an issue right now, and that means it's going to bring better survivability to characters on his team. I like the fact that he is a semi-rainbow lead, so newer players will be able to use whatever they have or whatever they can behind him. Veterans can go more specific down to alert and tough if they want to utilize that leader skill to its full potential. It's completely up to you what you want to do. However, you could just throw in a random strong character in there that you think is going to work in that team. I like the potential here quite a lot. Do tell me your thoughts on Rick, the visuals, his kit. Let me know in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.